After 9/11, I started looking into what was driving radical Islam. I came across an alarming document that reveals the true agenda of much of the Muslim leadership here in America.
The Third Jihad is a documentary about the fact that basically terrorism is simply a symptom, and that the fuel for terrorism is the ideology of political Islam and a lot of these organizations that came from it. They interviewed people such as Secretary Tom Ridge, former CIA Director Jim Woolsey, Senator Joe Lieberman, Professor Bernard Lewis, basically a who's who of experts on Islam in the West. This film basically, I think, falls in line with the NYPD's seminal report on radicalization in the West. And the NYPD, in addition to many other police forces and counterterrorism specialists, have used it in many ways for educational purposes.
It's an entire movement, and the idea of it is hatred for our way of life.
Well, first we received reports from a Muslim police officer and then a non-Muslim police officer who had seen the film. They were so offended that they felt the need to come forward about it. Police department said, oh, it was shown one time, it was an accident, it's a crazy movie. Mind you, Ray Kelly is in the film. He has an interview in the film. He said, we had nothing to do with the production of the film. Don't worry about it. They were very dismissive.
Our nightmare scenario is a nuclear detonation.
The NYPD leadership, I think at the time, Commissioner Kelly, then tried to minimize the exposure and said only a few officers saw it. I wish they had defended it more clearly at the time. It might not have been such a big story now. A year later, then the NYU Law School Brennan Center had requested a Freedom of Information Act request, and all of a sudden it became a big story because 1,500 officers saw it out of a police force of 35,000. They didn't actually see it as part of the curriculum, but it was shown in sort of the waiting area during counterterrorism training.
This became a story, this became the story, when this is just, almost minor compared to the massive surveillance regime that's being waged on the Muslim community. So all these things together is unbelievable.
And slowly we saw a crescendo of attacks on one of the most successful, if not the most successful, counterterrorism forces in the country, and the NYPD.
That Mayor Bloomberg has defended his police commissioner and everyone in it categorically, without even giving a thought to the possibility that they had done something that was wrong, without pushing for an investigation. That's all we asked for. The community decided together to ask for Commissioner Kelly's resignation. It's not about retribution, it's about fixing a problem. So not only did we ask for the resignations, but we asked for an oversight mechanism, over the police department.
All of a sudden you had 6, 7 stories within a few weeks, all starting from this film that I narrated, that I did as a Muslim who loves my faith, who feels that we have a major problem that needs reform, which is the separation of mosque and state.
But they still want to replace American law with their version of Sharia.
There has been, no discussion of any retraining of police officers who were, I think, mistrained by the Third Jihad. Hopefully the officers will just know better anyway. And it's really important that we have really concrete processes in place, for making sure that our police officers have the best tools that they need, to protect the city, which includes, a proper understanding of Islam and Muslims.